way. I think that what put a premium on this pick and made him the second pick in the draft is the fact that he's a do-everything outside linebacker. He's able to play the run. He's able to shorten the corner on his pass rush. He's good in man-to-man coverage, and he moves good in space with the zone. And then I think he also will present an intangible for his coach. He is the most coachable player that any coach will run into in this league this year.
Coachable. There's a term, Tommy, that will appeal to any head coach in the National Football League. Well, Arizona's now on the clock. They have about 7.5 minutes to go. All signs point to the massive tackle, 318 pounds, 6'8", Jonathan Ogden from UCLA, kind of the local player, a Pac-10 player. They were shopping Eric Swan, defensive tackle, this week. Last night, it looks like all those deals fell apart. Now, will they get calls for the pick? Let's get the latest from Arizona and head out to Gary Danielson. Gary.
Well, Chris, it's really the opposite down here in Arizona. As they stay on the clock, Vince Tobin told me yesterday that he's going to use all the time. He has not made a decision. He would not rule out Lawrence Phillips. Garrison Hurst has not yet signed, but they have not yet had a lot of activity. As we look into the war room camera, you'll see that Vince Tobin on the right is sitting there. His back is to us, trying to make a decision. This is going to be his first major decision as a head coach, and he's going to have it. Jonathan Ogden is a guy. Remember, this is a team, the Arizona Cardinals, that finished last in points scored and last in points allowed. I think either way they go, offense or defense, are going to get an impact player. But remember this, talking to the people around here, they felt there were 6 impact players in this draft. I would not rule out a trade down if someone really wants Lawrence Phillips. Let's now go to Baltimore and Sal Palantonio.
Gary, I just checked in with the Baltimore War Room. They said Arizona did, in fact, call them on the telephone and ask if they were interested in trading in flip-flopping the number 3 and the number 4 picks, and Art Modell said flatly, no way, we're standing pat at number 4. The rumor out of their headquarters is that Arizona has written Phillips' name down on a card and could be prepared to take him. They're at decision time right now. Let's go back to Chris Berman in New York.
All right, Sal, thank you. We do know that even last night, really that's an owner decision. And Mr. Bill Bidwell had kept pretty much his thoughts on would they take Lawrence Phillips to himself until the last night or two in the draft. So maybe even as late as this morning, Mel, Arizona brass right under the owner, Mr. Bidwell, found out, gee, are we allowed to look at him or not? Let's go to your draft board and look at those impact players they were talking about.
And certainly the top 2 win. And Jonathan Ogden is a player that would be a great fit for Arizona. He can play right tackle, Boomer's blind side, have help from the tight end. Of course, you have Lomas Brown, the veteran, on the left side. Lawrence Phillips is a major risk early in the draft. I think that would be a very questionable choice for a team. We'll get into that later. Ricky Dudley is the fast riser. Teams are looking to deal up for him. Simeon Rice will be a safe pick at this point because we know he can get after the quarterback. Eddie George is my most underrated player in the draft right now. If he drops down to 9 for Houston, he's going to be an outstanding pick. I think he's very underrated, as is Marvin Harrison, a glider in the Lynn Swann mold. Terry Glenn also has big league speed. Reagan Upshaw is the best outside pass rusher from a down defensive end position. And Timmy Biakabatuka, great pure running back. If he becomes a better receiver, he could be special. Alex Molden is the number 1 corner on a lot of teams' boards. Some teams looking to deal up for him. Dwayne Clemens I like, but he's kind of a tweener type. McElroy could drop a little bit. Teams are concerned more that you're drafting him on potential than production. And Walt Harris as well, the number 2 cornerback, can also play a free safety spot. Ray Lewis I like. He's the best of a very poor middle linebacking crop. And I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is underrated as well. Jason Dunn, one of the best players Roy Kidd ever coached at Eastern Kentucky. Great talent. If his work ethic improves, Jason Dunn could be special.
All right, there's Mel's board, and we'll be checking in with those names as soon as they are picked. So decision time for the Cardinals. About 4 minutes left on the clock. Let's quickly find out what's going down in Big D. Chris Myers is at Dallas. Another team is going up. You can tell by how many people are around the commissioner if it's a trade card. And if we take that quick look over there,
with the
I don't think so.
3rd choice in the 1st round, the Arizona Cardinals select Simeon Rice, defensive end, Illinois.
Well,
Baltimore Ravens are now on the clock.
Simeon Rice gives Illinois 2 and 3 in the draft. Hardy to Jacksonville and Rice to Arizona. What you must remember is Vince Tobin, like the man that preceded him as head coach of Arizona, is a defensive coach. Simeon Rice is a pass rusher extraordinaire. And remember they signed Lomas Brown, so they figured, well, let's push the envelope defensively. And as Gary Danielson pointed out, Joe, either side of the ball they needed some help. And I don't think there's any question about how good Simeon Rice is.
Well, I don't think there's any question at all either, Chris. Simeon Rice certainly is one of the coveted defensive ends in this particular draft. But what I find interesting is Jim Fossil, the offensive coordinator now of the Arizona Cardinals, is not going to have himself an anchor at tackle. How long can Lomas Brown continue to go? And don't forget, you've signed yourself somewhat of an aged, yet still, I think, productive quarterback in Boomer Esiason. So that offense probably will be addressed later on. They had 8 different combinations on the offensive line. They had 5 different tackles play at the right tackle spot. So Jonathan Ogden would have been the safe pick. I don't agree with everybody as far as Phillips goes. I think he would have been a good pick. Defensively, though, you got to look at the head man. It was Vince Tobin. They got Bankston, Swan, Wilson, and Simmons. Clyde Simmons certainly not getting any younger. Probably look at Simeon Rice to be the man to come in there and take over with Brown and England as reserves. So what Vince Tobin wants to do, if we can't outscore you, then we just won't let you score. Boomer, I personally think it's a good pick because of the needs. But the fact is, I still think they could have addressed the offensive side and been a little bit better off.
The only question, and if you want to call it a question, Mel and Joe, on Simeon Rice is he's probably not going to be on the field for every play. But then again, I mean, he projects size-wise like Chris Dolman, and he certainly has produced from that position exactly what they'll have Rice play.
What you have to really figure out with Simeon Rice, is it going to be like a Trev Alberts in Indianapolis and be a tweener type that has to see the field in situational substitution type patterns? But if you see him coming off the corner, he's 6'5", he's 260 pounds, great strength. He did 26 reps at the combine. He can play off a block and get into the backfield and make a play. They're strong on the defensive line, Arizona is. He's going to accentuate that group. Of course, they do have an aging Clyde Simmons that they may have to think about replacing after next year. But I thought late in the year, Simeon Rice tailed off a little bit when he maybe became concerned about protecting his legs, not getting injured since Illinois wasn't going to win, go to the Rose Bowl, win the Big Ten, or go to a major bowl. So I think that was an effect on him tailing off as a senior. To me, though, I think Arizona, Jonathan Ogden is a heck of a football player to still be here at number 4.
The Jonathan Ogden situation has really created a question now. He's fallen a little bit further than most people think. The other thing about Simeon Rice, too, is he plays at 260. He won't play in this league at 270. Look for him to get up, and he has the body to be able to carry that weight, Boom.
Well, Joe, Vince Tobin has made his first draft pick, and as head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, he's with our Gary Danielson right now at Cardinals headquarters. Gary.
All right, thanks, Chris. Vince, your first pick, a little quiet in there. I know you wanted to see all the offers. What happened when you made your pick?
Well, we just felt like Simeon, for all the needs that we had on this football team, would best address them to help make us a better football team, and we're very excited about having him.
Lawrence Phillips, the discussion about Lawrence Phillips, he's a fine football player. What type of thinking process did you go through right when you made the pick?
Well, we discussed a lot of people before the draft and during the draft of what we'd do if we had to make the pick at the third spot, and Lawrence was certainly one of them we considered. A lot of other people considered, but we felt like Simeon's the best guy for us.
Your team gave up a lot of rushing yards last year. The Cardinals, Simeon Rice is a pass rusher. Can he stop the run?
Oh, I think he can stop the run. That's one thing I talked to him about when I had him on the phone was I keep hearing that he can't play the run, and I think he can, and he thinks he can, and I think he can be a complete football player for us.
All right, one more thing on Lawrence Phillips. Did his past experiences make him undraftable for the Cardinals?
Oh, I don't think it made him undraftable. Like I say, you make a decision of who you think's best for your football team, and we decided Simeon Rice would be the guy that could best help us.
All right, Coach. Big chair. He made first decision.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's now go to Chris Fowler. Chris?
Gary, thanks. Arizona, traditionally one of the least predictable teams on draft day. Next up, the new team, the Baltimore Ravens. Joining me now, the former player personnel director for the Cleveland Browns. This is the first NFL draft in history not involving a team from Cleveland. So, Mike, your former team on the clock right now. Is Phillips the pick for them?
I think he's the pick. That's what they've said all along. Art Modell said he would pick Lawrence Phillips if he was there. They need a back that can make big plays, especially if they go to a one-back offense, which they're talking about doing. So I think it's the perfect fit.
And you'll see in a moment when they're on their helmet phone. They don't have a new logo yet. They just got the name the Ravens from Edgar Allan Poe. I guess that's where he's buried in Baltimore. So quote the Raven evermore now. It's just a black and white phone until the new logos come out. So you'll have to wait till June for that. Just cleaning up for a minute with Kevin Hardy going 2nd overall and Simeon Rice, his Illinois teammate, going 3rd overall. It's the first time that college teammates have gone to back-to-back since '93 in the top 10, that being John Copeland from Alabama going to Cincinnati, and then Eric Curry with the 6th pick to Tampa Bay. It's only happened 5 times since the draft, the common draft in '67. It's the first time with Hardy and Rice going so early